What's going on, everybody? This is Brian from SneakerFiles.com, and I present to you the 2026 Air Jordan Release Dates Ultimate Guide. Now, before I break down this video, would greatly appreciate a thumbs up, and if you're new here, subscribe by hitting the button below. Now, this took me multiple days to do, put together, and all the support is greatly appreciated. Now, as for breaking the video down, there will be timestamps down below. We're going to start off with months, pairs that we have specific release dates for, so starting off with January, February, March, and so forth, and then pairs that we don't have release dates for, we have the seasons, so spring, summer, fall, and even a couple to talk about for the holiday season. Now, I'm going to try to put timestamps in for individual sneakers. However, last year when I did that, I ran out of space in the description. I didn't even know there was a limit. So timestamps down below help you skip around, make it a bit easier to view. Also, there is a possibility that some of these release dates, they do change. They get pushed forward, pushed back, or even new pairs get added in for the year, which 100% is going to happen. Now, in the case that it does, I will update you on SneakerFiles.com. As well, I'll update you on following sneaker news videos, so make sure to be subscribed so you can be notified. And now, let's jump into these releases. Alright, so January, it doesn't look like there's a ton of releases, but I guarantee you there will be. But as far as confirmed releases go, we don't have that many for the month of January, but there are a few that could drop in January, actually quite a few, and I'll go over those later on in the video. But the first pair I need to talk about is a grade school exclusive, and it's the Air Jordan 3 Olive Gray. I'm just calling them Olive Gray due to the colorway, which is olive gray, green abyss, khaki, and sea glass. Now, this is simply a mock-up. I'm not sure how this is going to look, and they're going to drop exclusively in kid sizing on January 8th. The retail price should be $155, but it could be $150. As far as big releases go, the first one to drop in January is the return of the Air Jordan 5 Wolf Gray. Now, this is a classic shoe. It first dropped in 2011. Now, the 2026 pair will be different in comparison to the 2011 pair. Mainly the shape, the number 23 embroidered on the side, that has been updated to reflect the original font. And then we have a leather upper. The original had nubuck, and there's a lot of creases on the shoe. A lot of people seem to not like that look. I'm not a huge fan myself, but I will say the overall color blocking on these are solid. In my opinion, this pair won't be too difficult to obtain, and they're scheduled to drop on January 10th. The retail price will be $220. We have another classic pair returning, and it's the Air Jordan 9 Flint Gray, also known as French Blue. Now, we have yet to see a first look at this pair, so the images you're looking at is the original release, which took place in 2002. Now, around that time, we saw a lot of great Air Jordan 9 releases. Some of those pairs includes the Cool Gray, the Olive, and the OG. We also saw the introduction of the low-top version, which includes the Blue Pearl pair and the White and Chrome pair. But for this pair, it features a white, French blue, and Flint Gray colorway. Obviously, the nickname comes from the colors used. They're expected to feature white leather on the upper, gray nubuck on the mudguard that wraps the collar and the heel, and then of course it comes with French blue accents. Now, these are going to drop on January 24th, and the retail price should be $215. Towards the end of January, we have the release of the Air Jordan 1 Low OG Medium Olive. Now, these are clean in my opinion. I know for a fact that this was a Travis collab, they would sell out instantly. All they'd have to do is throw on a backward swoosh, some Travis Scott branding, and they're selling out. But for those who just want a clean and simple pair that should be easy to obtain, we have this one, and it features medium olive, black, summit white, and cell. As you can see, we have nubuck on the overlays, which features medium olive, white leather on the base, black on the swoosh, laces, tongue label, and of course it has a cell midsole, giving it an aged look. Other details includes the Wings logo on the heel and an olive rubber outsole. So for this pair, they're scheduled to drop on January 31st, and the retail price will be $145. Now, February will be a stacked month. We actually have quite a few pairs expected to drop in the month, but I'm going to go over 3 pairs that are expected to drop in February that we don't have specific release dates for. And the first pair is the Union Fragment Air Jordan 1 High OG, known as Varsity Red and Sport Royal. This pair is also known as Top 3, and the official colorway is black, white, Varsity Red, and Sport Royal. Definitely my favorite from the three, and just like every pair from the collection, it features elements from Fragment as well as Union. For example, we have the DIY stitching, the Union/LA label, and Fragment's double lightning bolt logo. As well, the midsole also has some special writing on it that we've seen on past Fragment collabs. Now, this pair is rumored to be limited. The rumor is 44,000 pairs, but I'm going to tell you right now, take that with a grain of salt. Typically, these numbers are off, but of the three, this appears to be the more available. This pair is expected to drop in the US, and unfortunately, we don't have a specific release date, but February 2026 is when they're expected to drop, and the retail price will be $200. I know I said the previous Union Fragment Air Jordan 1 High OG was probably my favorite, but you know, certain days it's this pair that's my favorite. It really depends, because this is really nice as well. This is the Sport Royal iteration. Now, this pair features a black, navy, Sport Royal, and Cell colorway. Now, again, we do have a rumored amount of pairs that are going around, which is said to be 15,000. Again, I don't 100% believe it, but I felt that it was worth just noting because that information is going around. Just like the previous pair, we have the same branding throughout, the double lightning bolt logo from Fragment, the DIY stitching from Union, and the lower part of the shoe appears to be taken from the Air Jordan 1 High OG Royal, and the upper is almost like a reverse storm blue. The pair will also have H detailing on the midsole and suede on the ankle. So for this pair, they are scheduled to drop in February. Now, as far as availability goes, which spots will have them, so all three are expected to be some sort of regional release. With the first pair being available at more retailers, this one I'm not exactly sure where it's going to be available at. But like always, more information will be coming soon, and the retail price will be $200. The third and final pair from the Union Fragment Air Jordan 1 High OG collection is known as simply white and black, and easily my least favorite from the collection. Now, what I will say is that one of the initial sample pairs was worse in my opinion than what's actually dropping at retailers. I don't like the white outsole that was used on one of the sample pairs, but what's actually dropping will have a black outsole, so it does get an upgrade in my book. As well, there are minimal accents of blue, but the overall color blocking is pretty much white and black, mainly white throughout, black on the swoosh, toe, on the ankle, and the heel. We also have Fragment's double lightning bolt logo, the DIY stitching connected to Union, and a Union/LA label. Now for this pair, they're expected to drop exclusively in Japan. So you already know that this will probably be the more limited pair from the collection. Again, it's rumored, and only rumored, that 4,700 pairs will be released. I think that number isn't that small. I think it's a bit more, but that's just speculation on my part. Now, again, we don't have a specific release date, but they're expected to drop in February 2026, and the retail price will be $200. All right, so there's actually 4 pairs that we don't have specific release dates for, but will drop in February, and the fourth and final pair is the Air Jordan 4 Lakers. Now, what is shown is a mock-up. We haven't received a first look at this pair. I know there's been a lot of posts on social media showing a first look, but all of those are fakes. But ultimately, those fakes are what the pair will actually look like. This pair will feature an Imperial Purple multicolor and multicolor colorway. Now, the pair won't feature LA branding, and this release is for NBA All-Star Weekend. Now, as you know, NBA All-Star Weekend in 2026 will take place in Los Angeles. However, it will be for the Clippers, but apparently Jordan Brand was not about to drop a Clippers Air Jordan 4. It does make sense because the Lakers are more popular, but this pair, super dope in my opinion. Now, the shoes will feature a purple nubuck on the upper. They will have Nike Air, which will be like a gold yellowish hue that also hits the Jumpman on the tongue. As well, they feature black detailing, and then part of the midsole will be translucent, as well as most of the rubber outsole. There's expected to be a little bit of cell around the air unit, and that's pretty much it for this pair. Now, although we don't have a specific release date, they will drop in February. I'm thinking around February 14th or the 15th, but that isn't confirmed. Now the retail price is said to be $225, but it could be $220. Jordan Brand is releasing another Valentine's Day shoe. This will be available in women's sizing, and it's the Air Jordan 4. This pair is also known as Sierra Red due to the colorway, which is Pale Ivory, Sierra Red, and Tough Red. Now, they were called Sierra Red because we hadn't seen a first look. And now that a first look leaked, we know that it's connected to Valentine's Day. So on the insoles, there's a bunch of kisses that also lands on the inside of the tongue. Now, for the overall look, it features Pale Ivory throughout, constructed with leather. And then we have red on the eyelets, liner, Jumpman, and the midsole. Now, if you look closely at the midsole where it's red, it has a metallic finish, which is a nod to nail polish. Now, for this pair, we do have a release date, which is February 7th, and the retail price will be $220. In 2025, we saw 2 OG colorways of the Air Jordan 10 return. Now in 2026, we have a new colorway dropping, and this pair is known as the Air Jordan 10 Wild Grape. Now this will be a women's exclusive, and what's shown is a mock-up. I'm not sure how these are going to look, but the shoes feature a chalk, hydrangeas, and wild grape colorway. Now they're currently scheduled to drop on February 13th, and the retail price is said to be $200, but I don't think that's correct. I think it's going to be $215. I think the most popular release in February will be the Air Jordan 6 Reverse Infrared, also known as Infrared Salesman Sample. Now yes, the Union Fragment collab will have a lot of hype. This will have some hype too, but it'll be widely available. Now, although this looks like an OG colorway, it's actually not. Going back to 1999, Jordan Brand made samples of this shoe, and they were supposed to be released. However, in the year 2000, we actually got the return of the OG Infrared Air Jordan 6. Now, in an East Bay catalog, there was an image of this exact pair, and people were able to get their hands on the sample pair, so you'll see some floating around here and there. Not super available by any means. The midsoles are definitely cooked on those. But as a tribute, Jordan Brand decided to bring these back. Now, this would be a perfect example of a reimagined shoe. And it looks like for the most part, Jordan Brand is moving away from the reimagined name. So they're just calling these reverse infrared. Well, specifically, they're calling them Infrared Salesman Sample. But back in the early 2000s, people nicknamed these the reverse infrared, although it's not technically a reverse. What's different about this pair compared to the OG is that we have more red on the midsole, and the Nike Air on the heel will also be done in red, which I really like on them. Other than that, the blocking is pretty much the same. Now, for the 2026 release, they will come with a sample hang tag. It's a little bit different than actual sample hang tags. They're traditionally not in black. The actual wording and stuff on it is a bit different as well, but definitely a great tribute to sample releases. They also come with a brown box. There were times back in the day that samples did come with like a standard box, so that's like a nod to that. And then on the liner of the shoe, it says Jordan, property of, and then there's an area where it's left blank. Usually it's property of Nike, but here it's just blank, not for resale. Another nod to sample pairs. Now, this shoe is scheduled to drop on February 14th, and the retail price is expected to be $215. Now, these will be available at pretty much every Jordan Brand retailer. They won't be limited, so getting your hands on these should not be difficult. Alright, so as most of you know, the Bin 23 series will return in 2026, and the first pair to be released is the Air Jordan 6 Bin 23. Now, the Bin 23 series started back in 2010. During that time, Jordan Brand released the Air Jordan 2, the Air Jordan 5, the Air Jordan 7, the Air Jordan 9, and the Air Jordan 13. Now, what they're doing here is they're filling in gaps. They never released the Air Jordan 6 Bin 23, so now they're going to. Now, this is a mock-up, however, it is close and very close to what will be released. There might be some minor changes here and there, but overall, you can expect this pair to resemble the mock-up. Now, of course, this will come with a premium theme. It should for the retail price. And the official colorway is Off Noir and Picante Red. Now, the pair will feature mostly black up top, and they're constructed with leather and suede. Leather will also be used on the midsole, And then on the tongue, we have unique X stitching. On the spoiler, it'll also be stitched in red. And then the Bin 23 logo will land on the heels. Now, this will be a limited release, and they're going to drop on February 14th. So the same day as the Air Jordan 6 reverse infrared, those will be a GR. These will be limited. So only 2,300 pairs will be released. This is straight from Jordan Brand, not some made up numbers that you typically see on Instagram and so forth. But the retail price is just crazy at $350. Okay, so the last pair of February that we have a release date for actually might get pushed forward. So right before I started recording this segment, I got the word that these might drop in January. So I'll give you both release dates, but for now, I'm still going to say February until it's 100% confirmed. But this is the Air Jordan 4 Flight Club. So the inspiration for this shoe comes from the Air Jordan Flight Club membership program from the late 80s and the 90s. There's also a few other pairs that are dropping part of the Flight Club series. So no ties to the resale store Flight Club. And this pair features a cell, black, and university red colorway. The overall look on this pair is super simple. They'll feature white on the upper, black detailing, and red accents. Now on the tongue, they'll feature the Jordan Flight Club logo, something I think is really dope. They also feature Nike Air on the heel, which is like outlined in red. I'm not sure why they decided to do that and not fill it in with red. I do know there's a few additional Air Jordan releases that are outlined in red like this. And they'll also come with special packaging. So the overall look will be like the traditional Air Jordan 4 box, but the Jumpman on the lid, it's see-through. The lid also features the Jordan Flight Club logo. And then the tissue paper in the bottom half of the box features photographs of Michael Jordan and other Air Jordans. I don't know, I kind of like these. I think they're really clean. And now as for the release date, so the initial release date was February 28th. However, I'm hearing that they potentially could get moved to January 17th. Which honestly, January is looking a little bit on the slim side. Yes, I'm sure there's going to be more releases that pop up, but in the month of February, that would be 3 pairs of Air Jordan 4s dropping in the month, which seems a little bit OD. And I think personally it would be smarter if they moved these to January and let people go after the Lakers and the Valentine's Day pair. But once I have confirmation, I definitely will update you in a following sneaker news video. And the retail price is said to be $225, but also it could be $220. Now, March has a bit more releases in comparison to January so far, but not as much as February, and the first pair is the Air Jordan 1 Low OG Floral Swoosh. So this pair features a cell, off-white, and coconut milk colorway. Now, what's different on these compared to other Air Jordan 1s, which I'm sure you see, is the swoosh. So the swoosh, it features flower-like designs, also looks like it has some branches, and I'm probably tripping here, but at the very front, it looks like a bunny's head. Now, in these images, they're not the best, and it kind of gives them a bluish hue, but the official colorway is cell, off-white, and coconut milk. So the coconut milk will be the age detailing that we see on the midsole, and then the upper will feature a mixture of cell and off-white. Now, the heels will have the Wings logo embroidered, and they'll also come with a semi-translucent rubber outsole. Now, this pair will drop in men's sizing. It could be grade school as well, but that information isn't available at the time of recording. And as for the release details, they're currently scheduled to drop on March 7th, and the retail price will be $165. Probably my second favorite release in the month of March, we have the return of the Air Jordan 13 Chicago, also known as Cherry. Now, as many of you know, this is an OG colorway that originally released in 1998. MJ did wear this pair on court. Fast forward to 2005, we saw a low-cut version of the pair release. Instead of the hologram on the ankle, it featured the Jumpman logo. And then in 2010, we would see an actual retro of the shoe in OG-like form. When I say OG-like form, I mean mid-cut, not the overall shape. Now, the last time we saw the pair release was in 2017. Now, the original nickname for the shoe was just simply white and red. And then after that, they were being called Cherry. And then in 2017, somehow the name Chicago was adopted. But this is definitely a classic pair. It features red suede on the lower part of the shoe, which extends around the hologram and runs across the medial side. It also features white tumbled leather up top, white leather across the toe. We also have white on the tongue, laces in the liner, and then of course we have black detailing on the Jumpman and the pods. This should be a GR as well, so not too difficult to obtain, and they're dropping on March 13th. The retail price will be $215. Now for this shoe, this is simply a mock-up. I'm not sure how they're going to look, but we have the release of the Air Jordan 1 High OG in Psychic Blue. Now this will be a women's exclusive release, and the pair will feature Pale Ivory, Psychic Blue, and Coconut Milk. Now I wouldn't be too mad if they dropped like this, because it's not bad in my opinion, especially if the blue is like that metallic finish. But unfortunately, I can't confirm it. We'll have to wait and see. Probably won't get a first look until a couple of months. But as for the release date, they're scheduled to drop on March 21st, and the retail price will be $185. So this pair was supposed to drop in December, specifically on December 6th. However, they have been delayed. And this is the Swarovski Air Jordan 1 High OG collaboration. Now, this is simply a mock-up. I haven't seen them, so I'm not sure how they're going to look. But the colorway will feature Vast Gray, and Photon Dust. Now, I did talk about in a previous video that they were pushed to 2026, but recently I did find out the release date, at least for now, it could change, and that date is March 21st. Now, you can expect these to feature Swarovski crystals, and although I don't have the retail price, these are 100% going to be over $1,000. I'm not sure exactly what price point, but the low top version dropped for $1,000, so these, I wouldn't be surprised if there were $1,200 or even $1,500. Also expect them to be limited, just like the first drop. Easily my number one release in March, potentially my number one release in all of 2026. We had the return of the Air Jordan 14 Black in University Blue. Now, some images did pop up giving us a first look the other day. However, I am going to throw in some photos of the original release because our first look, the images aren't that great, and there's only two, so I wanted to add in a few more. Now, this isn't an OG pair, but they first dropped in 2006, so them returning celebrates the 20th anniversary. Now, when they dropped in 06, it was part of Jordan Brand's lifestyle series. So alongside the shoes, there was matching apparel, also a little bit limited. Now today, when you hear limited, you think of Travis Scott and stuff like that. Limited back then was different. It was still available at a lot of retailers, but not every retailer, if that makes any sense. But the pair features a black, university blue, metallic silver, and white colorway. So they will feature black nubuck up top. They also have the ribbing on the panels. And of course, the university blue accents throughout. Beautiful, beautiful in my opinion. As well, the Ferrari-inspired emblem lands on the ankle, and we have metallic silver on the shank plate. Now, as for the release date, they are scheduled to drop on March 21st, and the retail price will be $215. Alright, so the last pair in March confirmed so far is the Air Jordan 3 Spring is in the Air. Now, this is a men's release, and what's shown is a mock-up. However, it's close to what will be released, but there's a few small differences. Now, we had to leave those differences out, but overall, it's very close. Now, yes, they will come with Nike Air branding on the heel. As you guys know, Jordan Brand is adding Nike Air to a lot more non-OG colorways. Now, some people like it, some people don't. And this pair features a Cell, Jade Aura, Ice Carmine, Muslin, and Iris Whisper colorway. So they will have various pastel shades. Kind of has an Easter vibe to them as well. Now, the retail price is supposed to be $215, but since it has Nike Air, it could go to $220. And for now, they're currently scheduled to drop on March 28th. You know, April has some pretty good releases, and the first pair, we don't have a specific release date for, but they will drop in April, or at least they are expected to, and this is the Air Jordan 13 Low He Got Game. So for the first time, the He Got Game Air Jordan 13 will debut in low top form. Although this is an OG colorway that first dropped in 1997, this will be the first time that they drop in low top form. Now, the overall build will resemble that of other Air Jordan 13 Lows. Instead of the hologram on the ankle, it'll have a Jumpman, but the pair will feature a mixture of leather and suede, white on the panels, black on the toe, as well as the lower part of the panels around the Jumpman and the medial side. It'll also land on part of the tongue, and then of course we'll have red accents. So unfortunately, no specific release date, but expected to drop in April. And currently, we don't have a retail price, but more on that soon. Another pair dropping part of the Flight Club pack is the Air Jordan 1 High OG Flight Club. So what is shown is a mock-up, however I was able to see the shoes, so you can expect something very similar to this to be released. And the pair will feature a black, cell, gum medium brown, and university red colorway. Now the pair features mostly black up top, and they'll be constructed with a mixture of denim and nubuck. Now there will be reflective 3M, which will outline the overlays, the swoosh, and then for some odd reason will be covered on the inside of the ankle flap. The ankle flap is traditionally tucked away, especially if you have them laced to the top. I mean, not everybody does, so you won't be able to see it unless you have it laced a bit down, and then you got to pull it back a little bit. But yeah, I thought that was interesting in itself. Now the Wings logo will be dipped in red, the tongue label will feature red. They'll also feature a cell midsole and a gum rubber outsole. Now these will come with special insoles. They'll feature the Air Jordan Flight Club logo. And when I initially leaked this, I wasn't sure what the design was supposed to be on the insoles. However, seeing a first look at the Air Jordan 4 Flight Club, the box specifically, I believe it's going to be a bunch of images repeated on the insoles. Now for this pair, they're scheduled to drop on April 11th, and the retail price will be $185. We have another older retro returning, and this is the Air Jordan 11 Low University Blue. Now when these initially dropped, they were known as Columbia Blue, and they were originally released in 2001. We did see a second release that took place in 2017, and the pair features a white University Blue and black colorway. So the blocking is very simple. Also, the images you're looking at is the 2017 release, not the 2026. So you can expect the shape to be updated a bit, but they feature patent leather on the mudguard covered in University Blue. They'll also feature white leather up top, white on the midsole, the tongue, the liner. University Blue will also land on some of the branding, and then they'll feature a translucent rubber outsole. Now, these are scheduled to be released on April 18th, and the retail price will be $195. Now, this is a pretty unique pair being released for the first time in 2026, and this is the Air Jordan 3 Orange Citrus. Now, this is a women's exclusive release, and this pair actually never released to the public. However, there were sample pairs that were produced around 2007, but that is the year we started to receive a first look at them. Of course, they were just samples, so what you're looking at is the 07 pair. Now, more than likely, this pair would have been part of Jordan Brand's Lifestyle series, but of course, they were scrapped. Now, they'll feature a white, cement gray, fire red, and multicolor color combination. As you can see with this one, it features white leather up top, and then on the mudguard, we have perforations. Orange will fill in the elephant print around the toe and heel, white will land on the midsole, and then they'll have orange on the liner and on the inside of the tongue. Now there is a bit of red which lands on the Jumpman on the heel and the Jumpman on the tongue. Now this pair is currently scheduled to drop on April 23rd, and the retail price will be $205. Towards the end of April, we had the return of another classic. This is the Air Jordan 13 Flint. Really doesn't need an introduction. Everyone knows what this shoe is, but they will be returning. This marks the 5th time that this shoe has released. Now, this is an OG colorway, and they first dropped in 1998. Now, the second time we saw the shoe debut was in 2005, and then 5 years later, in 2010, the pair returned. Now, for the 4th time, we saw the pair return in 2020, and then the 5th time it'll be in 2026. So the pair features a navy, university blue, flint gray, and white colorway. So the pair is expected to look like the OG. The shape should be updated a bit, but it will feature reflective mesh on the panels. Gray suede will land on the lower part of the shoe. That wraps the hologram on the ankle and runs across the medial side. They'll also feature white leather on the toe and the tongue, as well as the pods. The shoes will also feature university blue accents. Now, this will be a GR, so it shouldn't be too difficult to obtain, especially since Jordans aren't moving like they once were. You know, things could change at any time, but the way things are looking like right now should be a pretty easy pickup. Now, as for the release date, they're currently scheduled to drop on April 25th. And the retail price will be $215. Moving on to May, and I would say May's a pretty solid month. We have some pretty good releases, and to kick things off, we have the Air Jordan 6 cap and gown. Now with this pair, we don't have a specific release date, but they are expected to drop in May. Now what's shown is a mock-up, however, I was told that the pair will look close to this. Now the shoes feature a black, multicolor, and multicolor colorway. Now this is another way of Jordan Brand trying to disguise what the actual colorway is. And for those who don't know, the cap and gown series started back in 2018 with the release of the Air Jordan 11. And then a year later, we saw the release of the cap and gown Air Jordan 13. So they're shoes for people who are graduating. Well, you don't have to actually be graduating to buy these, but that was the intent. Or if you want to wear something nice and formal, you could lace these up. Now, the shoes will feature mostly black throughout. They'll also feature metallic silver accents, but the pair will also feature 3M reflective detailing around the overlays. So you see the 2-3 on the panels, that will be outlined in metallic silver. So for this pair, they're going to drop in May, and unfortunately, I don't have a specific release date at the time of recording. Alright, so for this pair, it's pretty popular. I'm sure a lot of people will be happy that they are returning, and it's the Air Jordan 4 Toro Bravo. Now, although this pair is not an OG colorway, they initially dropped back in 2013. When they dropped back then, it didn't take them long to sell out, and for quite some time, the resale price was really high on them. I don't know where they're at nowadays. Fortunate enough for me, I picked up 2 pairs. I still wear one of them today on special occasions, and then the other pair I have dead stock in my collection. But for this pair, what we can expect and what draws me to it is that the shape will be updated. So the overall shape will look closer to the OG mold. But as of now, where it stands, they're not expected to have Nike Air. Of course, things could change, but for now, the Jumpman will be on the heel. Now, the official colorway is fire red, white, black, and cement gray. These are expected to be a GR, so a good amount of pairs will be available. And they're currently scheduled to drop on May 2nd. The retail price will be $215. Jordan Brand is not just releasing a pair for Mother's Day, but they're also dropping a pair for Father's Day. But first up, we have the Air Jordan 11 Low Mother's Day. Now, what is shown is a mock-up. However, I was fortunate enough to see them, so this is how they're going to look. Now, the official colorway is white, metallic gold, and team gold. Now, the overall look kind of reminds me of the closing ceremony Air Jordan 11, which dropped back in 2016. Obviously, there is some differences, but for this pair, they'll feature white mesh on the upper and then white leather around the ankle and heel. Now, metallic gold will land on the mudguard, done in patent leather. Gold will also land on some of the branding. We have white on the midsole and a milky, translucent rubber outsole. Now, the pair will also come with a gold hang tag. It features a heart, and within it, it reads, "My Heart." Now, this pair will drop in women's sizing on May 2nd, and the retail price will be $195. Now, this is a pair I'm 100% looking forward to, and it's the return of the Air Jordan 5 White Metallic. However, there's going to be some changes in comparison to the OG release. Now, this shoe initially dropped back in the year 2000, and the pair featured the Jumpman on the heel. As well, we saw them return in 2015. That pair also had the Jumpman. Now, for 2026, the shoes will have Nike Air. Now, the 2-3 font on the side will be updated to reflect the OG 23 font. Now, I haven't talked about this too much in previous videos, but from my sources, I was told that the upper will have 3M reflective detailing. Not all over the upper, but I was told something like the black metallic Air Jordan 5. So on paper, this seems like a reimagined white metallic Air Jordan 5, but Jordan Brand isn't labeling them reimagined. I'm not sure why. I think they're trying to get away from that. At least that's what it seems like. I don't know for sure. Now, also, things could change about the reflective. The reason why I didn't publicly announce that it would have more 3M reflective is because I'm not 100% sure on the placement. But in these types of videos, I can go in a little more detail about things. Also, just like I mentioned, there's a possibility that it could not have 3M and that they changed it. But yeah, I wanted to say what I was initially told. The official colorway is white, metallic silver, and black. This pair is expected to be a GR as well. Should be pretty easy to obtain. And they're scheduled to drop on May 23rd. The retail price will be $215. In my opinion, this is kind of a special release. It's pretty dope, the thought that went into the shoe. But this is the Air Jordan 3 World's Best Dad. Now, just a heads up, this is a mock-up. However, again, I was fortunate enough to see the shoes, so you can expect the pair to look like this. Now, the official colorway is Cell, Black, University Red, Pale Ivory, and Palomino. Now, the inspiration for the shoe isn't just Father's Day. After the Chicago Bulls won the 1996 NBA Finals, Jordan went to the locker room and he cried. There's the iconic picture of him on the ground with the basketball covering his face. And the reason for that is this was the first championship that Michael Jordan won after his dad passed away. So the design that's used on the carpet, that will replace the elephant print around the toe and heel. The shoes will also feature Nike Air branding, which will be outlined in red, kind of like the Air Jordan 4 Flight Club. And then on the inside of the tongue, it reads World's Best. Now, each pair will also come with a Father's Day card. Also, the pair will feature a red translucent rubber outsole, which is a nod to the Bred Air Jordan 11, the pair that Michael Jordan wore in the 96 finals. Now, going back to the Bulls winning the 1996 NBA Finals, that took place on June 16th, 1996. And on that day, that was also Father's Day. To me, I really think this release is pretty cool. I like the details that went into the shoe, the whole thought process around it. But they are scheduled to drop on May 30th, and currently I don't have a retail price. They should be $215 or $220 though. Moving on to June, and to start the month off, well, technically not start the month off, but at least for this video, we have the release of the Air Jordan 3 Bin 23. Now, there's 3 pairs of the Bin 23 that will be released, and this is one of them. Now, the Bin 23 series started back in 2010. It featured 5 different models, which includes the Air Jordan 2, the Air Jordan 5, the Air Jordan 7, the Air Jordan 9, and the Air Jordan 13. Now, each pair had a premium build, nice materials overall, and they were limited. So you can expect the same for the Air Jordan 3. And what they're doing is they're filling in the gaps. So where they initially left off or didn't release a model going forward, that's what they're going to do. Now, what's shown is a mock-up. However, the pair will look pretty close to this. Another shoe I was able to see, and it features a Team Red, Metallic Gold, Burgundy Crush, Coconut Milk, Smoky Mauve, and Gym Red colorway. Now, the pair will feature Nike Air on the heel. It'll also feature the Bin 23 stamp on the tongue. And then they're going to place leather where the elephant print is, as well as the liner and the heel tab. Now, as for the release date, they are currently scheduled to drop on June 13th. The retail price will be $350. Now, these will be limited, and only 2,300 pairs will be available. When I was shown the information about the shoe and the photo of it, it said from Jordan Brand that only 2,300 pairs will be released. Now, typically I don't believe numbers, but when it comes straight from the brand, then I gotta believe it. Unfortunately, I don't know if they will be individually numbered, but at 2,300 pairs, at least they should be. In 2026, Jordan Brand will release the Air Jordan 12 Bloodline. Now, the Bloodline series started back in 2015 with the release of the Air Jordan 29. And for this particular shoe, there's a little bit of history. Now, this pair was supposed to drop this year in 2025. So what happened was that the Flu Game Air Jordan 12 was supposed to release. Then those were scrapped, and then they were going to release the Bloodline Air Jordan 12. Well, then the Bloodline Air Jordan 12 was scrapped, and then the Flu Games were back on. As we all know, those did release. Now for June, we have this pair dropping, and it's a little bit different compared to the initial pair that they were going to release. So I was able to see both versions. Also, what Jordan Brand is officially calling these instead of Bloodline now is Red Nubuck. So the overall color blocking will be like the Air Jordan 12 Nubuck, but instead of blue, we have red. Now, they will feature black Nubuck up top, black textured leather on the mudguard. The top eyelets will feature red with a metallic finish, and the same treatment will be given to the plates on the lateral in the medial side. Now, what's different from the original release that was supposed to drop is the heel. So the original release was supposed to have more red on the heel, but they changed it to black for the 2026 release. Now this pair will drop on June 20th, and the retail price will be $205. Dropping for women, we had the release of the Air Jordan 1 High OG workwear. Now some people might like these, and what's shown is a mock-up, which is very close to what will be released. Again, I was able to see the sample. Now I don't have the official colorway of this shoe. Oddly enough, I saw the pair, but it didn't list the colorway. but overall feature olive and khaki shades. Now, as for the build, it will come with white canvas across the base, with olive nubuck on the overlays. Now, what's unique about this pair is that the collar will feature a split design. One side will feature a shade of brown, and the other will have olive. Now, the top two eyelets and the wings logo will be dipped in gold. It will be metal as well. A little bit of red throughout. As you can see on the ankle or just below the ankle flap, there will be some cross stitching done in red. And then it has a cell midsole and a khaki rubber outsole. So this pair is scheduled to drop on June 27th, and the retail price will be $185. Now we're moving to spring 2026, and unfortunately for these pairs, we don't have specific release dates for. However, they will be released between January and March of 2026. Now, this will be Jordan Brand's spring lineup. It is different from actual spring. I do think people do get confused in some of my previous videos because they'll say, oh, it's not spring yet and these are going to be dropping then, or it's not fall and so forth. But the way Jordan Brand works is they have spring, summer, fall, and the holiday season. Each season runs for 3 months, and the pairs will be in those months for the respective season. Now, for the first pair I'm going to talk about, this is a shoe that was supposed to drop in 2025. They've been delayed multiple times, and unfortunately, we haven't seen a first look. Now, this is the Trophy Room Air Jordan 6 collaboration. Now, there's supposed to be 2 colorways dropping, and I will say that the delay does make sense as 2026 will celebrate the 35th anniversary of the Air Jordan 6. So as for the 2 colorways expected to drop, we have one in white, crimson, black, and court purple, and then the second will feature white, infrared 2-3, black, and game royal. Now, the specific details on what these two are inspired by have yet to be unveiled. It seems that with the colorways used, there's a possibility that it could be a connection with Michael Jordan winning his first NBA championship in 1991, obviously playing for the Bulls. One pair will be white and crimson, the other is white and infrared. The first pair that features white and crimson, that also features black and court purple, which could be a nod to the Bulls beating the Lakers. And then the white infrared 2-3 black and game royal pair could be a nod to the Bulls beating the Pistons. I'm not sure on that, it's more speculation, but the two are expected to drop spring 2026, which means a release will take place between January and March, and currently we don't have a retail price. Spring will also bring us another Air Jordan 4 release. This will be a grade school exclusive, well, I should say a kids exclusive, and for this pair I'm calling them half blue, and that's due to the colorway, which is white, medium soft pink, half blue, and vapor green. Again, just like the previous grade school pair, I don't know how these are going to look, so this is simply a mock-up, something visual to showcase to you guys. And unfortunately, no specific release date, but they will drop spring 2026, and the retail price should be $155. Tiana Taylor will have another collaboration with Jordan Brand in spring 2026, but this time it'll be on the Air Jordan 3. Now, her first collaboration with Jordan Brand was back in 2023 with the release of the Air Jordan 1 Zoom Comfort 2, A Rose from Harlem. Now, what's shown here is a mock-up, however, you can expect the pair to look somewhat similar to this. Now, they will be unique, but they feature a fur, which is a shade of green, fire red, victory green, cement gray, metallic gold, and gum medium brown colorway. So what's unique about this pair is that it'll feature plastic rose vines in green around the midfoot like it's shown here. Now, those could be detached. I feel like if you're wearing these like this, it might be somewhat difficult to walk in, and since they're plastic, I'm sure they would chip and eventually break in time. Now, the pair is expected to feature a black upper. The elephant print will be blacked out as well. The Nike Air on the branding will feature red, and then they'll have green on the eyelets. Other details includes red Nike Air branding on the heels, a white midsole, and a gum rubber outsole. So for this pair, we don't have a specific release date, but dropping spring 2026. And currently, I don't have a retail price, but probably around $220 or even $230. Now, with the spring releases, I'm not going in any type of order. I'm kind of bouncing around. And the next pair is the Travis Scott Jordan Jumpman Jack in Green Spark. So recently, new images did leak of this shoe. I did go over them in the news video, but I'm going to showcase them again here. And Travis Scott was actually spotted wearing this pair in 2024 in Game 2 of the NBA Finals. So this isn't a mock-up or anything like that. This is actually what will be released. And they'll feature a Green Spark, Vapor Green, and Black colorway. One of the better Jumpman Jack colorways in my opinion, just because I like that shade of green. It really pops. And when these do drop, expect them to be on the limited side, not available just anywhere. And they're expected to drop spring 2026, and the retail price will be $205. Now, like I mentioned, the Air Jordan 6 will be celebrating its 35th anniversary in 2026, which means we'll see a good amount of pairs drop. Now, what will also be returning is the low top version of the Air Jordan 6, and one of those colorways is known as Blackout. Now, this is a mock-up. I wasn't able to see them, but the colorway is simply black and black. So it appears that it will be an all-black shoe. The reason why they're nicknamed Blackout. They probably could have been called Black Cat as well. I'm not entirely sure, but this pair will also debut in women's sizing. You know, I'm never against women getting their own shoes, but this is definitely a pair that both men and women could wear. So unless there's some hidden details that I don't know about, maybe they're better suited for women. But this pair is expected to drop spring 2026, and currently I don't have a retail price. We have another mock-up. This time it's on the Air Jordan 1 Low OG Football Gray. Now, I have not seen this shoe, so I don't know what they're going to look like. So this is simply a mock-up, but the pair will feature a football gray, cell, light chocolate, and metallic gold colorway. I kind of have a feeling that these are going to look quite a bit different, but honestly, I wouldn't be mad if they dropped like this. I kind of like it in my opinion, but they're going to be released in spring 2026, which means a release will take place between January and March, and the retail price will be $145. In late 2025, we're seeing a lot of the Air Jordan 11 Regional Pack debut. In November, we have the Mojave 285 and the H-Town pair, but in December, we have the pair that represents China. But for spring 2026, we had the release of the Air Jordan 11 Tokyo. I'm not sure why they decided to push these so far out. There's a possibility they drop in January, so it won't really seem that far out. But this pair features a light bone phantom gray cell in light bone colorway. Now, the overall look seems simple, but there is some really cool details. Now, my favorite part about this shoe is on the tongue. It features an embroidered mountain goat, which also plays off MJ being the GOAT. Once again, the shoes will feature a premium theme. We have suede up top, nubuck around the heel, and leather lands on the mudguard that starts off with gray and kind of gradients to a lighter shade. Now, the pair also features a milky translucent rubber outsole with a graphic underneath that references Michael Jordan's 6 NBA championships, and that circles around the Jumpman. So for this pair, they will drop spring 2026, but I have a feeling they're going to be released in January. And we don't have a retail price, but it should be around $250 or $255. And these are expected to drop exclusively in Japan. However, it's possible more spots could get them, especially since we're seeing the Mojave 285 and the H-Town pairs drop outside of their respective region. In 2026, there seems like there's a good amount of Air Jordan 1 releases, and one of the pairs dropping is the Air Jordan 1 High OG Cool Gray. Now, this pair will feature a cool gray, black, cell, game royal, and white colorway. Now, what's shown is a mock-up. However, you can expect the pair to look like this. Now, this pair will feature gray suede on the overlays. That, of course, wraps the toe, heel, collar, and runs down the eye stays. White leather lands on the base and the toe box, and then black will fill in the swoosh, ankle, and the laces. Now, for a premium look, the wings logo will be made of metal and dipped in metallic gold. Other details includes Game Royal on the tongue label, white on the midsole, and a blue tinted translucent rubber outsole. So dropping spring 2026, and the retail price will be $185. Now there's a slight chance, and I mean a slight chance, that the Nike Doernbecher Freestyle 21 collection drops in 2025. More than likely it's not going to happen, and it'll be in 2026. I believe it'll drop in January. Now, there's multiple pairs part of this collection, but there's one pair that I need to talk about since it's from Jordan brand, and it's the Air Jordan 17. Now, this pair was designed by Zach Rumbaugh. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. I do apologize if I mispronounced it. But his pair will be the Air Jordan 17, not a low top version like we've been seeing, which I feel is pretty cool. Nothing wrong with the low top, it's just been a long time since we saw the mid drop. So I've done this in the news video. I went over each shoe and I read from the press release about each designer. So for this video, I'm going to do the same, but just for the Air Jordan 17. But it reads, in the summer of 2024, Zach was enjoying a birthday party at his friend's house when he jumped into the pool. He didn't know it at the time, but he had an extremely rare heart condition that causes dangerous arrhythmias when triggered by stress or adrenaline. In Zach's case, the shock of hitting the cold water completely stopped his heart. Bystanders and emergency responders sprang into action, performing CPR so Zach could be stabilized enough to arrive at emergency surgery in Salem in life flight to Dorenbecher, where he then received highly specialized level 1 trauma care and additional surgery. He spent over 25 days in the PICU, where he was placed on a ventilator and ECMO machine to give his lungs and heart the time they needed to heal. Beating all the odds, Zach made an astonishing full recovery and was able to go home after 38 total days in the hospital. I'm really grateful to everyone who worked so hard to save my life, Zach said. If you don't know CPR, you should learn how. These days, Zach is a happy, active guy who enjoys lifting weights, playing his guitar, and fixing things, especially bikes and cars. He hopes to be a mechanic someday and can already replace filters and bulbs, fill the oil, or fix a flat tire. YouTube is a great teacher, he grinned. Zach poured his love for all things mechanical into the Air Jordan 17, which features hex-shaped hardware on the eyelets and chrome elements inspired by Michael Jordan's motorcycle. The collar features the same soft suede as a luxury steering wheel, and if you pop open the lace cover, you'll find interchangeable silver charms. Because Zach is adopted from Vietnam, he also wanted to honor his culture by including a turtle graphic on the sock liner. In Vietnamese culture, the turtle is a symbol of protection and endurance. Zach hopes this shoe will bring you plenty of both. So for this pair, we don't have a specific release date, but again, I do believe they're going to drop in January. And the retail price is said to be $230, but I'm not sure if I 100% believe that. I think at minimum they're going to cost $250 because it's a mid-top. But like always, I will have more information for you in following sneaker news videos. Also, as far as where they'll be available, the Sneakers app is one, more than likely Shoe Palace, and potentially DTLR. Now, this pair was supposed to drop in 2025, but they've been delayed until 2026. And this is the Virgil Abloh Archive Air Jordan 1 High OG, Alaska. Now, this won't be a collaboration with Off-White, but Virgil Abloh's estate. And I do believe this is the reason why they were delayed. Jordan Brand and Nike couldn't come to some sort of agreement with Off-White. So instead, they are collaborating with the estate. Now, the overall look of this shoe closely resembles that of the Euro pair, also known as White, that dropped back in 2017. Now, from images, if you compare this to the OG, they look pretty much the same. We have the stitching on the swoosh, an orange label. It says shoelaces on the laces and Air in quotations on the midsole. The Wings logo is also debossed. Now, the biggest difference will be on the medial side. For the 2026 pair, it reads VAA for Nike, Air Jordan 1, that will be in quotations, Beaverton, Oregon, USA, C 1985. So the original pair featured Off-White for Nike. Now, as for a release date, unfortunately, I don't have one, but spring 2026 is when they're expected to drop. And the retail price is expected to be $195, but I also heard $200. So it's a possibility that they could bump up. Now, as most of you know, these will be limited. More than likely, they will drop on the Sneakers app. As far as boutiques go, I'm not entirely sure just yet. Also dropping in spring, we had the release of the PSG Air Jordan 6. Now, what's shown is a mock-up. However, I don't want to say it's the first look because it's of 100% fake shoe, but there is a first look going around because that's how the pair will look, but I don't want to show it because it is a fake. But the pair will feature a metallic silver, pure platinum, and oil gray colorway. The pair does look somewhat close to the mock-up here. There won't be any black detailing though. That will actually be gray. There's a little bit of white on the midsole. PSG branding will land on the heels. And the upper will feature metallic silver, so it kind of has like a shiny finish to it. Again, no release date for this pair, but expected to drop spring 2026, which means a release will take place between January and March, and currently no retail price. Levi's and Jordan Brand will be collaborating again, this time in 2026, and it'll be on the Air Jordan 3. Now, there's 3 colorways that will be released. However, we recently saw a first look at one of those thanks to Spike Lee. Now, the 3 colorways consist of denim, black, and cell. That's the first. The second is dressed in denim, black, and gym red. And then the third features denim, cell, gym red, and ocean fog. So as for the first look, I believe that this pair is the denim, black, and cell pair. Honestly, it could also be the denim, black, and gym red. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show photos of the pair that Spike Lee was wearing, as well as the 3 mock-ups. The 3 mock-ups are only that, mock-ups. But as you can see with this pair, it features denim across the upper, black perforated leather up top. We have Nike Air on the heels in white. White also hits the midsole. On the top of the midsole and the outsole, we have black. In the elephant print, it's a mixture of black and dark gray. Now the shoes will also feature a small red label that reads Levi's. That's like their signature logo. And red also fills in the Jumpman on the tongue. Now, for a release date, they're expected to drop spring 2026, so sometime between January and March. And the retail price is said to be $225, but I think these are going to go up to $230. Now, more than likely, they'll be available on the Levi's website, as well as the sneakers app, and potentially boutiques. As you guys know, many collectors see sneakers as an investment. I'm guessing many of you guys do too, and that's a good thing. Over the past 6 months or so, I've been also thinking about another commodity, silver, like physical coins, bars, the real stuff. And recently, I've also been looking to diversify into something a bit different, investing in a company that's actually exploring for silver. Because silver isn't just a historic store of value anymore, it's on a run, hitting all-time highs as global demand surges. And the place where some of the best opportunities for silver are being rediscovered? Nevada. Most people hear the name and think Las Vegas, Reno, bright lights, casinos. But long before the neon glow, Nevada earned a very different nickname, the Silver State. Because Nevada wasn't built on entertainment, it was built on silver. And today, that legacy is coming back into focus in a big way. Americore Resources, trading under AMCOF in the US and AMCO in Canada, is positioning itself right at the center of Nevada's modern silver resurgence. This is a company focused on high potential silver exploration in the jurisdiction that has produced more wealth, creating mineral discoveries than anywhere else in the American West. They recently acquired the Trinity Silver Project in Nevada from Newmont Corporation. As part of the deal, Newmont became a shareholder in Americore, a clear signal of the Trinity Project's immense value. When a global mining giant valued at nearly $100 billion takes notice, it's a strong indicator that you should too. This isn't a brand new exploration play with uncertain potential. It's a historic mine that has already produced over 5 million ounces of silver, with historical data indicating a potential resource of over 28 million ounces still in the ground. Why Nevada? Because investors know the rule. If you want to find new silver, go where silver has already made history. Nevada's geology, infrastructure, permitting framework, and discovery track record make it one of the safest, most productive, and most mining-friendly jurisdictions in the world. It's why the biggest names in the sector continue expanding here, and why Americore is laser-focused on the ground. And here's what makes the story even more compelling. Americore Resources currently trades at under 25 cents, a steep discount compared to established silver names like Discovery Silver or Dolly Varden Silver, both of which command significantly higher valuations after their projects advanced. Americore offers investors that rare early-stage positioning, exposure to Nevada's discovery potential before the market re-rates it, at a time when silver is surging and investor interest is skyrocketing. Because the story here is simple, a focused silver explorer drilling in America's most prolific silver jurisdiction at a time when global demand for ethically sourced Western aligned silver has never been stronger. Nevada built its identity on silver. Americore is stepping in to explore the next chapter of that story. Americore is early, it's cheap, it's in Nevada, and it's exploring in the state literally named after silver. If you're looking for a high-impact silver exploration opportunity in the one state that still proudly wears the name, the Silver State, Americore Resources trading under AMCOF in the US and AMCO in Canada deserves your attention. If you're interested in learning more, I'm going to drop links to their website, investor presentation, and stock symbols down in the description below. Now, this isn't financial advice, it's just some information if you'd like to check out, and I would like to thank Americore Resources for sponsoring this video. And now, let's get back to these releases. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't think many people will care about this pair, but I did want to showcase it in the video. And in spring 2026, we had the release of the Air Jordan 3 RM. Now you guys might remember that Jordan brand introduced the Air Jordan 4 RM in 2024. However, in 2026, we're going to see the release of the Air Jordan 3 RM. Now, what is shown is a mock-up, however, this is based off of what I saw. And I'm not going to lie, these are kind of nasty in my opinion. I'm not a fan whatsoever, but these videos aren't really about my opinion. It's about giving you guys the info. Now, this is one of the colorways that will be released. It was pretty much in all white. There was a bit of black on the branding. Now, what I thought was really interesting is that instead of elephant print, it had perforations around the heel. And for some reason, overall, this kind of reminds me of a golf shoe. Maybe it's the designs that I'm reflecting on. I'm not entirely sure. Now, there's expected to be quite a few colorways drop in 2026. I even heard of a collaboration, although I don't have 100% confirmation if the collab will still take place, so I don't want to talk about it yet. The only thing that I will say is that it won't be his first collaboration with Jordan Brand. Anyways, for this pair, they're going to drop sometime in spring 2026, and unfortunately, I don't have the retail price. It's been a long time since a signature model, or I should say the latest signature model from Jordan Brand has got me excited, but the Air Jordan 40 is overall a really good shoe, at least look-wise. I haven't tried them on. But in 2025, we're going to start seeing hybrid, or I should say mashup releases that are going to drop. That will lead us into 2026. Now, one of the pairs will be the Air Jordan 4020, known as white and varsity red, or simply white and red. Now, this is a mock-up. I'm not sure how they're going to look, but basically they're going to take the Air Jordan 20 and fuse it with the Air Jordan 40. Now, the official colorway is white, black, and varsity red. Now, it appears that the inspiration for the shoe will come from the OG Air Jordan 20 in white and varsity red that dropped back in 2005. Now, from what I've heard, although I can't 100% confirm it, the upper will resemble that of the Air Jordan 20, and then the midsole and potentially the toe box will be taken from the Air Jordan 40. So the end result could be something like this or slightly different. Either way, I'm definitely excited for this pair. Now, as for the release date, they're scheduled to drop spring 2026. Unfortunately, we don't have a specific one, and the retail price will be $205. Alright, now we're moving on to summer 2026, which basically means these shoes will debut sometime between April and June. So pretty much right before actual summer. And we have another grade school exclusive, and I'm calling this pair Bright Mango. Again, I haven't seen them, not sure how they're going to look. But this pair will feature a black, infrared 2.3, bright mango, and barely vault colorway. You know, when I had this mock-up done, when I got it back, I instantly thought Yeezy 2 vibes. The solar red pair, I don't think it's going to look like this, but I wouldn't be mad if it did. Unfortunately, I can't fit a grade school, so it wouldn't matter. But again, going to drop summer 2026, and the retail price should be $155. Alright, so I haven't officially announced this in any news video. I've kind of hinted about it. I think I briefly talked about the Air Jordan 7 will return in 2026. Now, what's shown is just a silhouette, and the reason why I haven't leaked it is because I have not been able to crack the colorway. So the colorway is white, multicolor, and multicolor. Obviously, I can't do much with that. I've been asking around for maybe 2 to 3 months. I haven't heard anything. Now, this is good news for fans of the Air Jordan 7. Shout out to the 7s guy, although I haven't seen him in a while. Unfortunate, because I'm sure he would be happy about this news. I'm sure a lot of you are as well. But one thing I will say about this pair is that it's labeled BB. So what does BB stand for? Black bag. Now, that isn't the nickname for the shoes. However, in the past, what I've noticed is either older retros or OGs are labeled BB. For example, the Air Jordan 5 Tokyo, that was labeled a BB. I think it's some sort of code name that Jordan Brand uses. Now, I don't want to 100% confirm that this is an OG pair or an older colorway, but I will say, following the theme of things, it is possible that it is. Now, unfortunately, Jordan Brand is trying to stop the leaks. That's why a lot of shoes are labeled multicolor. For the most part, I've been able to crack them, find out the actual colorway, and in some cases, the actual blocking. But for this pair, believe me, I've been asking everybody. But they're going to drop summer 2026. Once I have an update, I'll let you know in the upcoming sneaker news video. And currently, I don't know the retail price. So recently, information started to go around that the Air Jordan 1 Low OG band has been postponed indefinitely, and that isn't the case. I think the mix-up here was that the style code actually changed on the shoe, but all in all, we're still getting the same pair. Now, what's shown is a mock-up, but the pair will look like this. So basically what we have is the 2011 band Air Jordan 1 High that went to outlets, but in a low-top form. The only thing I can't speak on is the quality of the leather. I don't think it'll be like the 2011 pair. That shoe has incredible leather. Honestly, I doubt it. But the reason the band Air Jordan 1 High in 2011 went to outlets is because Jordan Brand messed up on the insoles. So the insoles reference the day that MJ wore the black and red Air Jordan 1. It was actually the Nike Airship, but I don't need to go into all that. I'm sure you guys know the history about that. And the year was 1984. However, on the insoles, it featured 1985, so that's why they went to outlets. But as for the low top pair, they will feature a black, varsity red, and summit white colorway. Now, what's unique about this pair is that they will have the X on the heels. As for a release date, unfortunately, I don't have one, but summer 2026 is when they're going to drop, and the retail price will be $145. Alright, so Travis Scott will have 2 Air Jordan 1 Low OG releases in summer 2026. These were a really late ad. Summer was pretty much completed as far as what's dropping, but then Jordan Brand added 2 additional pairs. So it's known as the Shy Pink Pack. One pair is dressed in Cell, Tropical Pink, Shy Pink, and Muslin, while the second features Muslin, Shy Pink, Cell, and University Red. Although not confirmed, Travis Scott was seen wearing 2 pairs very similar to the colorways that are going to drop. It's not 100% confirmed if these are samples or this is what is going to be released, but again, they are very close. So the first one is dressed in Muslin, Shy Pink, Cell, University Red. They'll feature suede throughout, pink on the base, red on the Nike Air branding, backward swoosh, and branding on the heel. The second pair I'm just going to call Cell, and it's believed that we got a first look. Again, it looks very close to what will be released, and he was spotted wearing this pair at Disneyland. So both pairs are expected to drop in summer 2026, and the retail price will be $155 each. In summer, we had the release of the Air Jordan 1 Low OG Cell. Now, this is a mock-up, but it will look very close to what is shown. So what Jordan Brand is doing here, you guys might remember, back in 2017, they released the Air Jordan 1 High OG Cell. So they're dropping those, but in low-top form. And as you can see from the mock-up, the pair will feature Cell throughout, as well as red branding. This pair will also drop summer 2026, and the retail price will be $145. For the first time, a collaboration will be released on the Air Jordan 11. However, it will be the low-top pair, and this will be with the Whitaker Group. So for those who aren't familiar with the Whitaker Group, it's owned by James Whitner. I'm sure you've heard of that name, but if not, stores like A Ma Maniére, Social Status, and APB are under the Whitaker Group. So essentially, it's another A Ma Maniére collab. Now, images have yet to leak, and the colorway is just simply Wind Chill and Wind Chill. So it'll be a shade of blue, and this will be a women's exclusive release. Personally, I think that they should drop both in men's and women's sizing, especially since it's the first Air Jordan 11 collaboration, even if it's a low. But they're going to drop summer 2026, and the retail price will be $200. Nigel Sylvester's next collaboration will be another Air Jordan 4, and it seems that a lot of people are excited about this pair. Now, what is shown is a mock-up, however, I was fortunate enough to see the pair. So it looks very, very close to this mock-up. Now, the official colorway is Cell, Cinnabar, Anthracite, and Muslin. Now, back in January 2025, there was a runway show, and this pair was spotted on the runway show, or a pair that was very similar to this. Now, at that time, there were no plans for this shoe to be released, but what I heard is that Nigel really pushed Jordan Brand to bring these out, and it's going to happen in summer 2026. So just like the Brick by Brick pair, instead of Nike Air on the heel, it'll feature Bike Air. On the inside of the tongue, it'll read Jordan Biking Co. 2017. And then the insoles will feature Go and Nike Air. This is somewhat close to the Fire Red Air Jordan 4. Obviously not 100% on point. The coloring is a bit different. We do also have the mini swoosh by the toe. And these are going to drop summer 2026, meaning they're going to be released between April and June. And currently no retail price. Another classic shoe is returning, and it's the Air Jordan 15. Now, I know a lot of people do not like the 15. I love the 15. I feel that Jordan Brand needs to show it more love. However, I do have mixed opinions about this pair. So what is shown is a mock-up. However, I was given a description of the shoes. So they're going to look pretty close to this. And they're going to feature a black and muslin colorway. So, as you can see, they're not like your traditional Air Jordan 15. So instead of the signature tongue, that will be removed, and now it's like an extended shroud. This pair is known as black muslin, but the actual model is called the Air Jordan 15 23RE. I don't know what RE stands for, potentially reimagined, but the color blocking doesn't fall in line with the reimagined series because this is a new colorway, it's not a remix of an old one. Also, they will come with some distressed detailing on the very upper. This pair will drop summer 2026 and currently no retail price. This is a pair that I kind of like, and it's the Air Jordan 4 Denim Iced Carmine. What's shown is a mock-up, but what releases will look close to what's shown here. Now, this pair is a follow-up to the Worn Blue Air Jordan 4, another denim release, and they're going to drop exclusively in women's sizing. Now, the pair will feature denim across the upper. It'll have a unique pattern covered in ice carmine. The winged eyelets and part of the midsole will be translucent. They'll also feature black accents and pink on the Jumpman logo. This pair is part of Jordan Brand's Summer 2026 collection, meaning they're going to drop sometime between April and June, and the retail price is expected to be $215, although it's possible these could cost $220. The Air Jordan 16 will also return in 2026, but it will be a collaboration with Free the Youth. So Free the Youth is a clothing brand that was initially created to empower Ghanaian and all African youth, connecting the art scenes around the world with Ghanaian-inspired street style, fashion, and culture. Yes, I did read that from their website. They started by showcasing their style via social media, and then it blossomed to a whole brand. Now again, this is a mock-up, but it's very close to what will be released. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. This mock-up was super, super difficult to put together, especially underneath the shroud. So not everything will be 100% accurate, but overall you can expect something close to this. I mean, very close. Now the shoes will feature metallic silver, picante red, and total orange. Obviously there's a bit more colors that will be used. Also, from what I saw, the inside of the shroud will have a unique design as well. But this pair will drop summer 2026, and the retail price will be $250. We have more Air Jordan 40 hybrids or mashups, whatever you want to call them, dropping in 2026. And this pair is the Air Jordan 4014 Ferrari. Now, this is a mock-up. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the 4014 model, but what I was told is that they'll use the Ferrari color blocking, which honestly makes sense due to the official colorway, which is challenge red, black, and vibrant yellow. So again, this is a mock-up. Some things could be different, but you can expect the shoes to drop summer 2026, and the retail price is expected to be $205. Also dropping in the summer is the Air Jordan 4028, known as Black Vault. Now this shoe is inspired by the Air Jordan 28, and the color blocking is taken from the stealth pair also known as All-Star. Now this is a mock-up, so the actual blocking may differ, but the colorway is black, metallic silver, and barely volt. Yes, they will feature a zipper shroud that does run up. You can also unzip it, and I think the unzip look looks honestly better. Also, we did recently see a first look at the Air Jordan 4028, so the toe box will be more like the Air Jordan 40. But they're going to drop summer 2026, and the retail price is expected to be $205, but I think these are going to be a bit higher. Okay, so now we're at fall, and in my opinion, fall does have some pretty solid releases. Now with Jordan Brand fall releases, it means that the shoes will drop between July and September. Unfortunately for these, we don't have specific release dates, but I'm sure as time goes on, the release dates will pop up. And the first pair is a grade school exclusive, well, a kids exclusive, and this is the Air Jordan 3 Track Red. So this is a mock-up. I'm not sure how they're going to look. However, they feature a chalk, track red, true blue, and kinetic green colorway. So they're going to drop fall 2026, and the retail price should be $155. Next up, we have the Air Jordan 6 Light Aqua. Again, this is a mock-up, a pair I was not able to see, but the shoes will feature a light aqua and multicolored color combination. So from what I saw, because I didn't see the actual shoe, but I did see some of the colors that will be used, and they will come accented with black and metallic silver. So again, don't know how they're going to look, but they're going to drop fall 2026, and the retail price will be $215. This is a pair that I always liked, and it's returning to celebrate the 20th anniversary, and it's the Air Jordan 5 Black and University Blue. Now, this pair initially dropped in 2006, and it was part of Jordan Brand's Lifestyle series. The Lifestyle series were releases that had matching apparel, also kind of on the limited side, not super limited, but they weren't available just anywhere. The colorway is black, university blue, and white. Now, the blocking and materials are all expected to be the same. However, what they're going to do is update the shape, make it closer to the OG mold. And this pair will drop fall 2026, so sometime between July and September, and the retail price will be $215. Also dropping in fall, we have the Air Jordan 12 Bucks. Now, this pair actually has a few different nicknames. Most recently, I was told that they're called Ray Allen, but they won't feature Ray Allen branding. Now, this pair is a mock-up, but it is very close to what will be released. And the shoes feature a Summit White, Gorge Green, Black, and Furious Purple colorway. So on this pair, the upper will be white, we'll have green on the mudguard. Now, the overlay that's on the mudguard, that will be iridescent, so it'll shift from green to purple. The overall inspiration, as far as colors go, is from the Bucks jersey from the 90s, when Ray Allen was playing for them. And this pair will drop fall 2026, and the retail price will be $205. Now, this pair is interesting, and I just found out the inspiration for them, but we had the release of the Air Jordan 4 comic. Again, what's shown is a mock-up, but it is close to what will be released. There's a few small differences, including the branding on the heel. Yes, it will be Nike Air, but slightly different as far as the design used. But this pair will feature an off-white, anthracite, neutral gray, fire pink, light Arctic pink, and muslin colorway. So the inspiration actually comes from a t-shirt that was released back in 1985. I will include a picture. Also, this shirt did release sometime back. If you're interested, they have 2XL on Chic for $9.99. If I were a 2XL, I'd buy it right now. And like the other pairs, this one is going to drop fall 2026, and the retail price will be $220. Another pair that's definitely on my radar, and I'm super excited about the return, is the Air Jordan 3 True Blue. So this is an original colorway, I'm sure everybody knows that initially dropped in 1988. Now, Jordan Brand will bring these back, and from my sources, I was told that they're going to update the shape, making it closer to the original pair. Now, these last dropped in 2016. They did have Nike Air, but the shape was a bit off. At the time, they also sat. I should have waited. I picked the pair up on release date just because I liked them. I wasn't a fan of the shape, but overall, I was just happy that they returned. So the fact that the shape will be updated is a plus in my opinion. Of course, they will have Nike Air. Now, also, aside from the shape being updated, the liner on the inside of the tongue will be tucked away. On OG pairs, it was more tucked away versus seeing it. And the elephant print will be slightly darker and lower. When I say lower, I mean the overlay that wraps the toe. Now, as for other times this pair's dropped, because they have quite a bit, aside from the 88 pair, the first time they re-released was in 2001, and it featured the Jumpman instead of Nike Air. Now, another release came in 2009, but for some reasons they dropped outside of the US. I'm still not sure why that happened. But 2 years later, we saw another release in 2011. Now, this pair did not have Nike Air, and the inside of the tongue is blue instead of red. And then the last time we saw them drop was in 2016. So this pair should be a big release. Full family sizing, a GR, shouldn't be too difficult to obtain, although there is hype. It's an OG colorway, it's always going to have some hype. And they're going to drop fall 2026, and the retail price will be $220. The third pair part of the Bin 23 series dropping in 2026 is the Air Jordan 8. Now this pair will follow the release of the Bin 23 Air Jordan 6 and the Air Jordan 3. So the Bin series started in 2010. This pair was not part of the initial run. So like I mentioned earlier on, Jordan Brand is filling in the gaps. Now what is shown as a mock-up, unfortunately, I have yet to see the pair, but they'll feature a fur, university red, and muslin colorway. So fur is a shade of green. More than likely this pair will come covered in mostly green. As well, you can expect the pair to have the Bin 23 stamp. Now, they're going to drop fall 2026, meaning a release will take place between July and September, and the retail price will be $350. Now, I haven't gotten an update if this pair will be limited to 2,300 pairs, but I do believe it's likely since the Air Jordan 3 and the Air Jordan 6 are limited to 2,300 pairs. Another older retro will return in 2026, and this is the Air Jordan 5 Sunset. So when these initially dropped, which was in 2006, it was a women's release, and when they return, they're also going to drop in women's sizing. So this is another pair celebrating the 20th anniversary of when they initially dropped, and the pair will feature a white, sunset, fire red, and black colorway. So the overall blocking will resemble that of the OG pair, but the shape will be updated, so closer to the OG. For now, they are expected to have the Jumpman. There are times, as you guys have seen, that Jordan Brand swaps things out, and instead of a Jumpman, we have Nike Air. I don't think this will be one of them, but in the case that it does change, I will let you guys know. So, dropping fall 2026, and the retail price is expected to be $215. When I heard about this pair returning, I thought it was about time. I know a lot of people have been asking about the return, and in 2026, the Air Jordan 4 Tour Yellow will release again. Another shoe celebrating the 20th anniversary when it was initially dropped, part of Jordan Brand's lifestyle series in 2006, somewhat limited. Also, matching apparel was available. I was able to pick up a pair back in 06 on eBay. Yes, lifestyle releases did land on eBay. And this pair will feature a white, tour yellow, dark blue gray, and black colorway. With this pair, the shape will be updated. They're also expected to feature a Jumpman on the heel and the removable tongue patch. Underneath the tongue patch, it reads Rare Air. You know, Jordan Brand said the Air Jordan 11 Rare Air is the last pair from the collection dropping, but this pair is technically part of the Rare Air series, so one of the original pairs. Now, the images used is the 06 pair, so the netting, it won't be yellow, it will be white. And again, dropping fall 2026, meaning a release will take place between July and September, and the retail price is expected to be $220. For now, it's expected that the Air Jordan 8 calves will drop in fall 2026. I'll go on to why I say expected in a moment, but what's shown is a mock-up, and what releases could look different. Now, the pair will feature a black, racer blue, and safety orange colorway. You know, part of the reason why I nicknamed these calves was due to the color blocking closely resembling that of the Air Jordan 4 calves, but looking back at it, I probably should have called these Knicks. The colors are the same. Also, in 1993, that's when the Air Jordan 8 originally released. Michael Jordan and the Bulls beat the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, from my sources, I was told that the official nickname is Take Flight. However, Jordan Brand has already released the Take Flight Air Jordan 8, and that took place back in 2017. Yes, the color blocking is different, but it didn't seem right to give another Air Jordan 8 the Take Flight nickname. Now, there is a small possibility that these could get scrapped. I've heard a rumor that instead of these releasing, the Air Jordan 8 Chrome is returning, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. Now, this isn't confirmed, but I did want to give you the heads up on that in case we don't see these drop. But for now, expect it to drop fall 2026, and the retail price will be $215. Moa Lola will have 2 collaborations dropping in fall 2026, both on the Air Jordan 14. The second one I'm going to go over is slightly modified, but this is just the regular Air Jordan 14. Now, what's shown is a mock-up, however, it's expected to be pretty close to what is shown. There might be slight differences, and this pair will feature a black, burnt red, and metallic gold colorway. So, from what I heard, is that the pair will feature burnt red throughout, but along the side, we'll have her signature Mola Lola. That will be done in gold. When I initially dropped this information, some people were excited, some people didn't care. For me, I'm a huge fan of the 14. It's my favorite model from Jordan Brand, my favorite model overall. So it's 100% pickup, no matter how they look, just because I'm trying to get every 14 that drops. But they're going to release fall 2026 and currently no retail price. Now, her second collaboration will be the Moa Lola Air Jordan 14 Mule. So for the first time, the Air Jordan 14 will be released as a mule. The 15, there was a mule in other models around that time, but it was never made into a mule. Now, for this pair, I'll feature a black, metallic silver, and burnt red colorway. For this pair, what I was told is her signature will also be placed on the side, but covered in silver. When I initially leaked this, nobody was feeling these at all. But hey, things may change when we get a first look, but I don't expect that to be anytime soon. But they're going to drop fall 2026 and no retail price. I'm a little bit let down with this release, but we have the Air Jordan 3 Laser dropping in fall. Now, I was initially told by my sources that this pair was supposed to be the 2003 MJPE. In 03, MJ was gifted the Laser Air Jordan 3 to celebrate his 40th birthday. However, we received the official color blocking, and unfortunately there's no black listed in the shoe. The main colors used will be Phantom and Palomino, so it will be a shade of brown, but I do expect the laser graphics to be the same. Now, I don't think it's actually going to be lasered. I feel like it's going to be printed on, which is a bit unfortunate. I really wish that they released the OG laser pair. I'm sure a lot of people won't really care about it, but some who are really fans of the brand and they like OG or sample stuff or PEs and stuff like that, this is dope. Now, the original pair is rumored to be limited to about 40 pairs. So there are times you'll see photos floating around, but not too often. Anyways, this pair is going to drop fall 2026, and currently I don't have a retail price. Moving on, we have the release of the Air Jordan 4 London. Now, this is a mock-up, but it's an accurate mock-up of what's releasing. This pair I was fortunate enough to see, and the shoes will feature black, red bark, dark smoke gray, and hemp. Now, I'm not too sure why these are nicknamed London. Yes, there are a few details that connect to London, but I'm not sure exactly why Jordan Brand is releasing a pair of 4s for London. I don't see any major events, at least that I know of, that is happening in London, because typically that's how Jordan Brand does things, unless it's some sort of city pack, but I haven't learned of any other city-inspired pairs dropping. But as for the overall look, they do feature black throughout. In certain areas, they'll kind of have like a washed look to it, or even worn. Now, on the eyelets, back heel tab, and the midsole will have scuff marks, again adding to the overall worn theme. Instead of Nike Air on the heel, it'll read Nike and LDN, short for London, and then on the inside of the tongue, there will be a label that reads No Excuses. The pair will also come with an OG-like hang tag, which reads Nike LDN. This pair will drop fall 2026, meaning a release will take place between July and September, and the retail price will be $220. Now, a handful of these next releases I did leak a couple days ago, and the first pair to go over is the Air Jordan 3 Sports Renaissance. Now, this is a mock-up. I haven't seen them. This will also be a women's exclusive release, and the shoes will feature an obsidian, track red, blue peon, and chalk colorway. I'm not sure why they're being called Sports Renaissance. At this point, your guess is as good as mine. But they're going to be released fall 2026, and the retail price is expected to be $205. Next up, we have the Air Jordan 6 Low Metamorphoses. Again, this is a mock-up. Not sure how they're going to look, but the shoes will feature a black, desert berry, and metallic silver colorway. I have a feeling that these are going to be inspired by butterflies or something. Not just because it's a women's release, but the nickname Metamorphoses typically is associated with insects or amphibians, but they're going to drop fall 2026 and no retail price as of yet. Although there's a good amount of Air Jordan 1 releases, it does seem that in 2026 it's slightly scaled back, but we had the release of the Air Jordan 1 High OG Love the Game. Now there is a possibility that this pair will be part of the For the Love of the Game collection, which initially dropped in 2010. The Love the Game nickname could be abbreviated, but this pair will feature a shadow brown, soft pearl, light British tan, pale ivory, muslin, and team red colorway. What's shown as a mock-up, I haven't seen these yet. Also, for the Love of the Game collection, which dropped in 2010, it included the Air Jordan 7, the Air Jordan 9, and the Air Jordan 2010 Outdoor. Also in 2019, we saw a grade school exclusive Air Jordan 4 drop. So if this pair is part of For the Love of the Game collection, expected to feature a heart-shaped basketball somewhere present. Dropping fall 2026, and the retail price will be $185. This pair has potential to me, and it's the Air Jordan 4 Birds of Paradise. Now this is a women's exclusive release, and it's only a mock-up, but the official colorway is coconut milk, metallic gold, muslin, bright mango, sundial, and black. So looking up some stuff, Birds of Paradise is a flower, but it's also a group of birds. I'm not sure if either of those will be the inspiration for this pair. Looking at the birds, I really couldn't see anything that matched up. The flower, it kind of matches up, but not positive if that will be the inspiration. These are going to be released fall 2026, and the retail price is expected to be $215. You know, we do have a small handful of Air Jordan 6 Low releases coming in 2026. But all of them are going to be either a women's release or dropping in kids sizing. And following the theme of things, we have the Air Jordan 6 Low China Rose dropping in fall. This will be a kids exclusive. Now this is a mock-up, it's not accurate, and they'll feature a white China Rose and pink foam colorway. So they're going to be released sometime between July and September, and the retail price will be $145. We got another laser release coming in 2026, and it'll be the Air Jordan 1 Low OG Laser. Now, what's shown is a mock-up, I haven't seen these yet, but they'll feature a black, university red, palomino, and summit white colorway. Now, there is a possibility that this pair could wind up being a low-top version of the Air Jordan 1 High Premier Laser, which dropped back in 2013. I'll make sure to throw up a photo so you know what I'm talking about. Now, this is quite different than the mock-up, and on the original pair, the red used landed on the tongue. Overall, the colors kind of match up. It would make sense that this winds up being a low-top pair. Personally, I hope it's a low-top version of the 2013 pair, but these aren't bad as well, the mock-up that is. Anyways, they're dropping fall 2026. The retail price will be $145. I know there's a good amount of people that are happy that the Air Jordan 8 Chrome is returning in 2026. I know when I initially reported about it, it got a lot of great feedback. Super clean shoe. Now, this isn't an OG pair, but they initially dropped back in 2003. We saw a second release take place in 2015. The 2015 pair definitely had more anticipation compared to the 2003. In 03, they did sit. Now, I'm not sure what they're going to do in 2026. Yes, Jordans have been sitting, but for those who really want a pair, that's good news. Easier to obtain, plus there's a possibility of them going on sale. Now, I'm not saying these are going to go on sale, but I know there's quite a few releases in 2025 that have gone on sale. But what will be different is that Jordan Brand will update the shape, making the mold closer to the OG. But these are going to drop fall 2026, meaning a release will take place between July and September, and the retail price will be $215. A couple days ago, I leaked that Awake NY will be collaborating with Jordan Brand again, but this time on the Air Jordan 6. Now, earlier in the year, in 2025, Awake NY dropped 2 colorways of the Air Jordan 5. Now, the Air Jordan 6 is celebrating its 35th anniversary, so they're moving on to the 6. And again, what is shown is a mock-up. I have no idea what these are going to look like. I wasn't shown images. They're keeping these pretty concealed, but I do have some details. Also, the mock-ups were based off of the Air Jordan 5. That's probably pretty evident here, but the first pair I'm calling Midnight Navy due to the colorway, which is Midnight Navy Infrared 2-3, Game Royal, and Light Blue. Now the second pair I'm calling Playful Pink, which features a Playful Pink, Infrared 2-3, Shy Pink, and Arctic Pink colorway. So as you can see with the theme here, it's kind of like the Air Jordan 5 releases. Shades of blue on one pair, shades of pink on the other. Now, more than likely there will be matching apparel, but I don't have confirmation on what pieces will be released. And as for a release date, that I don't have yet, but they're going to drop sometime between July and September. And currently no retail price, but they should cost about $230 or $235. Now, expect these to be limited, available at Awake NY, potentially at boutiques, and there's a stronger possibility that one or both colorways drop on the sneakers app, kind of like how their last drop took place. In 2026, we also have another colorway of the Air Jordan 17 Low dropping, and this pair is known as Black Patent. Now, what's shown is a mock-up, and what releases should look something similar to this. Now, I wasn't able to see the shoes, but I was given a description, and I was told that the shoes will feature black patent leather across the upper. Now, that's kind of an interesting look, especially since there's an OG black and chrome pair that dropped back in 2002 that I know a lot of people would love to see return. The official colorway is black, black, and metallic silver. More than likely, these are going to be somewhat on the limited side. I personally don't see Jordan Brand releasing the Air Jordan 17 or the low top version in GR form, just because the retail price is a bit higher. And don't get me wrong, I know there's a lot of fans of the model, but overall, outside of sneakerheads, there may be some people who may pick them up, but I can almost guarantee if these were a mass GR, they would eventually go on sale. But they're going to be released in fall 2026, so sometime between July and September, and no retail price, probably around the $250 price point though. Yes, I am excited about this pair returning. It seems that a lot of people are also. And we have the Air Jordan 9 Space Jam dropping in fall. Just to run down some history, the shoes initially dropped in 1993. It was an OG colorway. Now, they weren't initially known as Space Jam. They were either called White, Black, and Red, also simply OG, but for some reason, they also received the nickname Playoff, which I'll go over in a moment. So, we saw another drop take place in 2002, and then the next release came in 2008, but this was a special release. It was part of the Countdown Pack series. 2 shoes were packaged together, so alongside the 9, you also got the Air Jordan 14, which equaled the number 23. And during that time, the Countdown Pack series was released to celebrate the launch of the Air Jordan 23. Then 2 years later, in 2010, we saw another retro. It wasn't the best pair as far as materials and the build goes, but people were happy. And then the last time we saw them drop was in 2016. Now, when information initially came out, they were known as Playoffs, or they were being called Playoffs, but I never got why they were nicknamed Playoffs, because Michael Jordan did not originally play in the Air Jordan 9, nor did he play in the playoffs in the 9. He eventually wore the 9 when he played for the Wizards, but that was much later. Now, eventually the nickname changed to Space Jam, and that was because in 2016, Space Jam celebrated the 20th anniversary of the movie, and Jordan Brand helped celebrate. That same year, we saw the Space Jam Air Jordan 11 release. I see a lot of people say, well, the Air Jordan 9 released in 1993, and the movie Space Jam came out in 1996, so why the nickname? Well, there was a couple scenes in the movie that Michael Jordan wore this colorway of the Air Jordan 9. There was a scene where Bugs and Daffy went into his house and they were going to steal his shoes, and then there's another scene where he was practicing. Also, 2026 marks the 30th anniversary of Space Jam. Now, from Jordan Brand, these were initially labeled as Playoff. However, from my sources, they have changed the name on the back end to Space Jam. Now, these will be available in full family sizing. Should be a pretty big release. And again, they're going to drop fall 2026, meaning sometime between July and September, and the retail price will be $215. All right, so we have a couple potential releases that will take place during the holiday 2026 season. Now, the first one is releasing, and that is the Air Jordan 6 White Infrared. Now, I initially heard that they were going to drop during late 2026. They are coming. Now, overall, the fall 2026 lineup is done. There could be some late ads, and unfortunately, the Air Jordan 6 White Infrared is not on that list. So, I strongly believe that either one, it's going to be a late ad, so they're going to drop fall, or two, they're dropping holiday 2026. Either way, they are coming. Now, just to run down some history about this pair, this is an original colorway that first dropped in 1991. Jordan Brand is celebrating the 35th anniversary of the Air Jordan 6. That's why we're getting so many pairs. After 1991, we would see a second retro take place in 2010. Now, it wasn't a standalone release. They came as a pack with the OG infrared, the black and infrared pair. Now, the last time they dropped by themselves was in 2014. That pair did not have Nike Air branding. So for the 2026 pair, they will have Nike Air branding. The shape will be updated. So overall, it'll reflect the OG mold. When these drop, they are expected to be a GR, so tons of pairs will be available. They're also expected to drop in full family sizing, not just adults, but all the way down to little kids. And it's looking like holiday 2026, which means a release will take place between October and December. Also, the retail price should be $215. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I had no plans on talking about this shoe at all. Not until I had 100% confirmation. However, after I leaked the information on the Air Jordan 9 Space Jam, a lot of people started to speculate that we potentially could get a return of the Air Jordan 11 Space Jam. So on everyone's part, it's been speculation. It does make sense. Space Jam will celebrate the 30th anniversary of the film in 2026. We also have the Air Jordan 9 returning, which is nicknamed Space Jam, but I actually heard that Jordan Brand switched the name from Playoff to Space Jam. But going deeper into things, what I heard is that there is a possibility that these will return in 2026. I can't confirm it at this point, but I will say there is a possibility. It's one of a few pairs being talked about. Unfortunately, I can't say the other pairs, and the only reason I'm talking about this info right now is because other people have speculated. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be mentioning it in this video. I haven't mentioned it in past videos. Now, the thing is, that's all the information I have. I don't know if it'll actually reflect the pair from the movie Space Jam, which had the number 23 on the heel, or his PE version that had the number 45. If I had to guess, it probably would be the 23. A lot of people call the Space Jam Air Jordan 11 that dropped back in 2016 the Michael Jordan PE because it had the 45 on the heel. MJ did play in the Space Jam. His PE version, of course, had the 45. In the movie, it had the number 23. While a lot of people do associate this pair as being an OG, it did not originally release to the public back in the mid-90s. In fact, we would get a first retro of the shoe in the year 2000. And even that pair, it's different from the MJ PE and the pair he wore in Space Jam. Not just by the shape, but instead of Concord, which is a shade of purple, the pair featured blue. Aside from the year 2000, we also saw another retro take place in 2009 that also featured blue. And then the closest pair that we got, which is essentially the MJPE, took place in 2016. And that pair came with Space Jam packaging, so it was all themed out. So just to recap this part, no, I cannot 100% confirm that the Air Jordan 11 Space Jam is returning. However, I can confirm that there are talks, and this being one of the pairs set to make a comeback. I personally hope they do return. If they are going to re-release, have it with the number 23 on the heel, so it makes more sense. But I wouldn't mind seeing the year 2000 or the 2009 retro releasing with that shade of blue. Technically, it's different from the Space Jam, but I've always liked that blue hit. Now, if these are going to return, they will be part of Jordan Brand's Holiday 2026 collection, meaning a release will take place between October and December, and expect the retail price to be $235. But honestly, if they come with special packaging and all that, I wouldn't be surprised if they bumped them up to $240. And that's going to do it for this video. Like always, greatly appreciate you guys for watching. If you have a second and haven't done so already, also appreciate a thumbs up. And if you're new here, subscribe by hitting the button below. One more thing, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to turn on the notification bell so you can be alerted every time I drop a new video. Now, my overall thoughts about 2026, it's a good year. Is it as good as 2025? No, and I don't think any year will ever top 2025. It was the 40th anniversary, or it is, because currently, as I'm recording this, it's still 2025. So we all knew that Jordan Brand was going to celebrate in a big way. Now, in my opinion, I feel that 2026 is better than 2024 and several of the other prior years. So it's still good. There's multiple classics that I personally plan on picking up. The Air Jordan 3 True Blue, the Air Jordan 6 White Infrared. If the Air Jordan 11 Space Jam comes back, yeah, I'm grabbing those for sure. As well as the Air Jordan 14 Black and University Blue. Love that shoe. But one thing I do find it a bit lacking is I would love to see the Air Jordan 6 Sport Blue return. It's the 35th anniversary of the Air Jordan 6. That shoe hasn't released in a long time, nor has it retroed with Nike Air branding. So it would be the perfect year to see it. Maybe a few older retros as well. But of course, that's just my opinion. You can always let me know yours down below. Now, speaking of leaving comments down below, if you have any questions, drop those below. As well, let me know your top 5 releases for 2026. But that's going to do it for this video. Just want to thank everybody for watching, showing support, hitting the like. Maybe you're new here and you just subscribed. Shout out to you. And also shout out to everybody who has been subscribed. Like always, stay tuned to SneakerFiles.com. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe.